What's going on, guys? Alternate Stasio here with FlytPath.com. Now, just like my previous video, there was a firmware update on the Osmo Action. A couple days ago, there's also a firmware update on the DJI Mini 2. And I recently did a poll on my community tab on YouTube. I know a lot of you guys recently got a drone for Christmas or for the holidays. Majority, actually, I put a list there of, did you guys get a drone, a camera, action camera? And surprisingly, a lot of people did get a drone for Christmas. So if you did get your drone recently and you already just did the update and didn't really think about it, you might not really notice it. But for those that haven't done the update, maybe they've owned the Mini 2 already for the past, month or two. There's an update that did come out that does have a few updates as far as the camera resolution, video resolution goes, as well as a few other things that they fixed, some bugs in there that a lot of people have actually left comments on some of my previous videos about. So in this video, let's quickly go through the app download, the firmware update, as well as go through that list of updates that they did on the DJI Mini 2. But first, a word from today's sponsor. So if you're looking at taking your content to the next level, Epidemic Sound has been my go-to source for all my music in my videos. So whether I'm editing drone footage, behind the scenes, or some of my vlogs, Epidemic Sound provides high quality, royalty-free music to make sure that you never have to worry about any of the copyright claims or losing monetization on your videos. They have a couple plans to choose from, whether it's a personal plan for most regular content creators, or if you want to get the commercial plan, really geared towards freelancers and businesses. Both plans give you full access to over 32,000 songs in their library, as well as their sound effects. So if you want to take your videos up by adding some sound design in your videos, make sure you check the link down below in the video description for a no commitment 30-day free trial of Epidemic Sound. And now, back to the video. So a new firmware did come out on the 28th, which is version 01.02.000, as well as the remote control firmware, which is 02.00.1200. Now, in order to get the firmware update on your DJI Mini 2, you're going to want to download the DJI Fly App's most recent one, which is version 1.2.2. Make sure you download that first, then we're going to go through the firmware update on the Mini 2. Now, once you download the latest Fly app, go ahead and launch the app as well as power everything on. On the home screen of that Fly app, you should now see a box on the left-hand side that says new DJI Mini 2 firmware available, 50.4 megabytes. Hit update. Once you hit update, it'll then update all of the firmware on the drone as well as the remote control. Now, unfortunately, in this update, we did not get any smart controller capabilities. I know people like myself that have the Air 2 and the Mavic 2 Pro that have had that smart controller for a while. The fact that it does have OcuSync ideally should work with the smart controller, but unfortunately, we did not get that update on this one. But let's go through what they actually did update, which is the added zoom in photo mode. Before, you were only able to do zoom in video mode. Now you're able to do that in photo. They added now 48, 50, and 60 frames per second shooting frame rate to the 2.7. So the only way you're able to slow your video down is if you're shooting at HD or 1080p. They did have the 60 frames a second there. Now, thankfully, they added it to the 2.7. So you're able to shoot at a higher quality video, as well as now you're able to slow that video down if you wanted to by shooting at something like 50 or 60 frames a second. Increase flight stability in some scenarios. Same thing with that. Definitely just something that if you're already flying it, you might notice a difference depending on where you are flying it at. Fixed issue, abnormal color appeared in panoramic DNGs. I went through some of my DNGs. I didn't really get much comments on my videos about the DNGs, but this last one that they did fix, I did get some comments on my previous videos about this one. They fixed the rare issue where it says abnormal texture appears in the upper left-hand corners of 4K videos. Now, I didn't even realize that this was an issue until some people actually wrote in my comments in some of my previous videos that says, hey, look in the top left-hand corner, I see this like little red line. I'm getting the same thing. Can you guys talk about that? Or can you talk about that in your upcoming videos? How do we fix that? What's going on with that? So I didn't even know that it was up there. That's definitely something that you really have to notice. Of course, when I do some of my videos, I will do them. I'm not necessarily going into every detail, looking at every pixel, but it was nice that people were able to leave me comments down below letting me know that they had issues. So apparently it is a big enough issue where DJI did come and fix that. So with that said, let's get this thing up in the air, show you how you're able to use a zoom function in photo mode, as well as switching the camera resolution to 2.7 at 60 frames a second. And also let's shoot some 4K video, see if we get that little red line at the very top left of the video. Switch this over to photo mode on the top right. It says photo, and I'll do single. And like I talked about before, I want to shoot in JPEG and RAW. So let's make sure that's JPEG and RAW. And as you can see in photo mode right now, on the right hand side of the screen, you can see that 1x. Now that 1x means it's at 1 times right now, and if I press that button, it'll then jump over to 2x, so it'll pretty much punch in at 2 times zoom. Now another way you can do it is to press and hold that 1x, and then use your finger to slide in, and that will also zoom in like so. Now I don't really like doing it that way, mainly because of the fact that, as you can see here, it kind of stutters. It does have that step motion. What I like to do when I zoom in is you can press the function key right here, press and hold that, and then you can use the back scroll wheel, and you're able to do a nice smooth zoom in and out. So in order for you to do that nice smooth one, press that function key and then use that scroll wheel to go in and back out. And there you go. That was the photo mode zoom function that we now have on the updated firmware. All right, so next one we want to test out is the 2.7K at 60 frames a second. I know I'm going to shoot at 30 frames a second, so 60 frames a second will be really good. So all I have to do is cut it down in half if I want to slow down that footage. So let's go over to video, 2.7, and now you have these options. Before, you used to only have 30 frames a second. Now you have 2.7 at 48, 50, and 60 frames a second. So let's go into 60 frames a second. Right there, hit record. Let's go up a little bit higher. And there you go, 2.7 at 60 frames a second. And what I'll do is, at least now I have that option to slow it down if I want to. And the last thing we want to check on is that top left to see if there's any of that artifacts in that top left shooting in 4K. So let's go over to 4K, 30 frames. And let me know if you guys see anything. I don't see much of anything right now, but I am looking at a small screen. So of course, once we get this over into the computer, we'll definitely be able to see if there's any issues, if there's anything on that top left. But what I want to do is just kind of spin this around while I'm flying. That way we can see at different angles if it's able to capture anything on there. But as of right now, I'm looking at my screen. I don't see much of anything, but we will see when we get to the computer. And there it is, guys, just some samples of the update firmware on the new DJI Mini 2. This was the version 01.02.000. Just wanted to show you guys some sample images and photos and those changes that they made on this drone. So before you fly, make sure you guys do download that most recent DJI Fly app, get the firmware updated. That way you're able to get zoom in photo mode, 60 frames a second in 2.7, as well as some of those bug fixes on the DNG as well as the 4K video. And thanks again to our sponsor, Epidemic Sound. If you guys want that 30-day free, no commitment trial, make sure you guys use those links down below in the video description if you want all the royalty-free music as well as sound effects for your videos. As always, if you guys got some value from this video, make sure you guys hit that like button, and also don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell to be notified when I post new videos. This is Dji with FlytPath.com. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.